Okay, what are you saying, people, and welcome back to another weekly analysis. Now on the screen are the 10 pairs I'll be analysing today, but before we get into that, make sure you subscribe to the channel and also leave a like on the video if you're feeling generous. If you haven't already, make sure you go follow me on my Telegram channel. I'll leave a link to that in the description. So we post a lot of different trading setups throughout the week and you don't be missing out on that, so make sure you go check it out, and also check out my Instagram page. I'll leave the handle there. So we post a lot of different trading tips and tricks, also different setups as well, just to help you out on your trading journey. So make sure you go check all that out. But like I said, we've got another weekly analysis. So let me stop talking and let's get into the video. First up, we've got Euro USD. Okay, so for Euro USD on the daily chart, you can see that not too much has happened this week. We still got the resistance just above us, as you can see here. Previous resistance there, push the downside. Again, resistance there, push the downside, and again, resistance. So I was saying last week that we probably can get another move to the downside. And you can see we sort of did get a little bit of a move to the downside there, but ultimately found some bit of support, and you see prices starting to reverse and looking back bullish. And we could be seeing another push to the upside. Again, we still have resistance just above us, and we can easily see price reverse back down again. We didn't quite get the move all the way to test the support down here. As you can see, previous support again, which gave us the move to the upside. We didn't quite see a move there. So for me, in terms of direction for USD, is not really clear as of where we could go. We do have resistance just above us and support below us there, so kind of just moving sideways essentially on the daily chart. As you can see, there no real direction. We did have that push to the upside, but from then on price hasn't really gone anywhere. For Euro USD, we're kind of just moving sideways. So again, I'll probably still be looking for shorts for USD. Again, we do have really strong daily resistance there. We'll be looking to take advantage of that. We can get a nice push to the downside if you do get some bearish price action on the lower time frames. But if we do clear this, there is a little bit of room to the upside for USD. As you can see, we did a wick into this area here, so price could look to go and fill that wick and see a push the upside to that resistance there. And again, we could look to sell off from there or potentially go even higher than that. But there is room to the downside as well. We do have support all the way down here, so price maybe to go and retest that resistance and then make a way to the downside. I could be looking to take advantage of that. But again, it's not really clear as for direction, just moving sideways. So we're going to have to get a better judge and see how price moves early next week. But if we do get some strong price action around there, we could be seeing another move to the downside to go and test the lows up there. So be aware of that. But then again, if we do clear that resistance, there's some room we can move to the upside, so be aware of that as well. But my bias is probably still to the downside for USD, so only be looking for shorts for next week. Next, we're going to take a look at USD JPY. Okay, so USD JPY on the daily chart, you can see we did have a big push to the downside and a big push to the upside recently. So again, we had that support area, price broke through it, gave us a big push to the downside, found support, and then we had that news come in and price gave us a big push to the upside. So essentially we had a false breakout there, and I did say last week that I wasn't really convinced with that break to the downside there. We could be easily be price break back in and have to give us a false breakout, and you can see on the weekly there, big push back to the upside, engulfing that previous candle there. So again, bias is definitely still to the upside for USD JPY, only still looking for buys. We do have this trend line running through the market, which gave us the move to the downside that we saw in the last couple of days of last week. As you can see, initial test there, move to the downside, second test there, move to the downside, third test, move to the downside, and then we had our fourth test this week as well. And again, we had another move to the downside. So it looks like we're coming back into that same daily support area. And again, that will be acting as support now. So again, could be seeing a bounce off that, another push to the upside, and then price eventually going to break this daily trend line. And if we do have a lot of room to the upside. So we've got the 200 moving average, not too far. Price might want to go and test that area. Okay, we've got resistance all the way up here, and of course we've got resistance all the way up there. So those are more long-term goals, but as of last week, we are looking bearish and probably are going to see price continue a little bit further to the downside. Again, strong support area, could be seeing a reaction of that. So it could be looking to your low time frames to get in for a nice entry, and could be seeing a nice bounce of price there. And if you do see a breakout trend line, again, there's a lot of room to the upside. So again, bias is still to the upside for this one if you do hold at this area, and only looking for buys for next week for USD JPY. And next we've got USD CAD. Okay, so for USD CAD on the daily time frame, you see did have a nice push to the upside with price come test that previous daily support again. We were expecting price to hold, and our bias was to the upside. You can see we did get a nice wick to the downside there as price was breaking through that support area in the low time frames at the 4H and hourly, giving us a false breakout, catching people on the wrong side of the market. And the daily time frame, you see we pull back up, and from then with a nice move to the upside. So again, bias is still to the upside for USD CAD, still expecting nice counter trend move to the upside. Do have to be wary. We do have the trend line here coming through the market. As you can see, initially test there, second there, third there. And each time we had a test, we had a nice move to the downside. So could probably be expecting USD CAD to maybe continue to go and test the trend line there, or maybe come back into the support, which could be a nice opportunity to buy back into USD CAD, and probably expect another move to go and test that trend line again. And if you go and break the trend line this time, there's a lot of potential to the upside. Got resistance running through the chart there. You can see test there, and of course you've got the 200 average not too far away. Price might want to go and test that moving average as well. So there's a lot of upside potential for USD CAD, but it could be seen price maybe coming back to test the support again before that happens. But nonetheless, we could see from as soon as the market's open, price just continue back to the upside and go and test that trend line again. So yeah, USD CAD bias is still to the upside for this one, but it would be nice to see a nice test of that support area again, which could be a nice opportunity to buy back into the market. Up next is Euro GBP. Okay, so this is Euro GBP on the daily chart. You can see we did have a nice push to the downside this week, breaking through our daily channel. As you can see, if I connect the lows of price there and connect the highs as well, you can see we did have a nice channel going through the market on the daily time frame. Initially a test there, second there, third, fourth, and we're expecting a fifth. Could it be easy seeing another push to the upside, but we were aware that we could potentially see a break of that channel, and exactly you can see that's what happened. And then I was saying that potentially price could be coming to go test a key level going through for Euro GBP. As you can see here, a really nice key level in the market. So again, resistance there, support there, support there, support there, and again we were expecting that level to be acting as support as well if you did break through that channel. And you can see we did break through it and went to go and test that area and had a big reaction back to the upside. So you can see previously price was here, we did get a really big push to the upside. So again, you did see that strong bullish candle coming back into the market from that same area. So potentially there is still room for us to get a nice push to the upside for Euro GBP, potentially go and test some previous highs all the way up here. So if we were to get a similar move to this, obviously you're not going to get the exact same thing. You might see price slowly creep up, but then give us a move to the upside. But there is potential to the move to the upside, very strong area in the market, and the market has failed to break through this area since we broke through it in May. So again, it's been holding the market so nicely through the last previous months, and could easily see another move back to the upside. There's still a possibility that price could come back and retest it and then give us a move to the upside, or maybe go give us a false breakout before that happens. So again, you keep your eyes out for that. But if price was to pull back into that same daily level again, could be looking to buy back into it and probably aim for the highs up there. And again, we kind of still have that corrective pattern going on now. Price hasn't really broken out of it yet, so we probably need to see price break out this upper trend line going through the market here. As you see, initially test there, second there, and we've kind of got that going on. So if price breaks through that trend line, then we can probably see the momentum similar to what we did here, back to go and test the highs up there. But for now, could be seeing another move back to go and test the same level. Again, that could be opening up an opportunity to buy UGP and potentially go and aim for the highs up there. Okay, so up next we've got AUD USD. Okay, so for AUD USD on the daily time frame, you see we're currently testing some strong area resistance in the market. You see prior to that, a lot of wicks in this area and gave us a really strong move to the downside. So we tested that same area again, a few wicks into that area as well. So it could be seeing another push to the downside, but you can see we are looking a little bit bullish with the last candle close there on the daily time frame. So we could be seeing maybe another test of that same area before we get that move to the downside. My bias is still to the downside for AUD USD. If you do clear this resistance, again, there's still a little bit of room we can move to the upside. You can see we did wick into this area all the way up here on the daily time frame. So again, if you do clear that, there is still room to move to the upside for AUD USD. Potentially go test the highs up here. But for now, we could be seeing maybe price come a little bit higher first early next week, go and test that resistance again, then give us a move to the downside, because we do have some nice resistance, previous resistance around here. Could be turned support, so it could be seeing a move to go and test that same area on the daily time frame. So again, could be seeing price creep up a little bit first, give us some nice bearish price action in the lower time frames at the 4 hourly or the hourly, and probably look to target this previous resistance will be turned support. And if you break through that again, you can potentially see price go even lower and go and test previous support in the market here, and it will be acting as support as well. So again, we do have options to the downside and to the upside for AUD. Bias again is still to the downside and only looking for shorts for next week, but it'd be nice to see price maybe look bullish again, have another test of the same area, and then see price sell off. So we'll be looking for shorts for AUD and potentially could be seeing that pace hold and give us another move to the downside for next week. Now let's take a look at NZD CAD. Okay, so for NZD CAD on the daily chart, you can see a big push to the upside this week. Price broke through this resistance in the market here. This was a nice key level. I was saying as long as price stays below it, we can see price sell off and give us a nice push to the downside. And we can see price did break through this area of resistance and broke through our daily trend line as well. As you can see, initial test there, second test there, and then we're looking for a third test. But you can see price just broke straight through that trend line and remained bullish. So again, broke through that area of resistance on that trend line, and we saw price give us a big push to the upside. And now we're testing previous resistance in the market here. As you can see, previous resistance there, big push to the downside, went to go and test the 200 moving average. And then again, we're at that same area. So could be seeing another push to downside for NZD CAD, potentially a double top pattern coming on. And you can see it test there, move to the downside, test it again, then could be seeing another move to the downside. So again, my biases tool for sales for NZD CAD, you can see previous daily resistance there again, wouldn't really want to be buying into that. Into daily resistance, so bias is to the downside, but be aware we could be seeing price maybe give us a false breakout again. You can see Friday's candle did pull all the way back up, so price is starting to look bullish again in the low time frame. So I could see price maybe push a little bit higher, give us some false breakouts, see price give us some higher highs before we see price sell off to the downside. So again, there is a lot of potential room for us to move to the downside. We've got some nice key levels, previous resistance for us that we were looking at will be turned support now, so that could be potentially a nice area to target if you were to sell off for NZD CAD. So again, if you do get those nice price action in the low time frames like the 4H and the hourly, as price moves up a little bit higher, and then we could potentially be aiming for this area in the market here, previous resistance there, resistance will be turned support. So again, that would be a nice area to target for NZD CAD. So again, biases to the downside, we're previously testing some resistance in the market, and unless we properly clear that and resume off it and act as support, then again we can see price go higher. But for now, biases to the downside and expecting a nice move in the swing on the lower chart. Next up, we've got GBP NZD. Okay, so for GBP NZD on the daily time frame, we were looking for buys last week, but you can see that price continued to trickle down to the downside. So we were testing this area in the market here. You can see resistance there, support there, support there. So again, we're looking for the buys of this area since price was really struggling to move to the downside. But nonetheless, we did see price go and break through that support area and give us a move to the downside. But again, we're coming up to some strong daily support area in the market. If you were to see that break of that support, we're going to see price come and test some previous support running through the market on the daily time frame. And as you can see, support there, support there, support there. Now we're testing it again. So again, really strong area of support in the market, held the market quite nicely since we had that really big move to the downside for GBP/NZD, held the market and gave us a nice push to the upside. So really strong area of support, and we're coming and test it again. And you can see we did test it on Thursday there. We got a bit of a wick rejection there, and then we got an engulfing candle on Friday. So it's starting to look bullish again from the same area, but do aware that every time we have tested this area, we are failing to make those higher highs in the chart there. As you can see, big push to the upside, made the high there, and then we another push to the upside from that same area, be able to make a higher high. So we are running out a bit of a steam to the upside, so be aware of that. So if you are looking for buys for next week from this daily support level, which is a good place to look for buys, be aware we might not be pushing as high as we did previously. As you can see, we are running out of steam. There's a high there, so we could be seeing price failing to make a higher high. So again, a bit of a trend line going for the market, as you can see here. So could be seeing maybe price going testing that trend line again there, making another lower high, and potentially see price fall back off again and go and test that same support. So kind of got price trapped between that resistance and that support, and just to see which one breaks first. But again, bias is still to the upside for next week. Very strong daily support level, and could be seeing another move to the upside. Next, we're going to move on to CAD JPY. Okay, so for CAD JPY on the daily chart, you can see we had a big push to the upside, then a big move to the downside last week. So quite volatile with the vaccine news coming in, but we did see a nice push back to the downside. You can see we do have this trend line running through the market, looking at the previous high. So initial test there, move to the downside, second test there, move to the downside, and again third test, and we saw a nice move to the downside. So again, we are looking bearish for CAD JPY. We do have this really strong support area running through the market here. As you can see, support there, support there, support. So again, really strong support area in the market. So if we were to see that bearishness continue, go and test the support area again, we could be seeing another push to the upside. And again, that could be a really nice place to look to buy back in for CAD JPY. And again, we've kind of got price getting squeezed between this trend line and this support area in the market. So potentially could see price continue to range, because if you look for past few days, few weeks for CAD JPY. We haven't really gone anywhere in terms of direction. We're kind of just been stuck above that support and stuck below that trend line. So again, probably could be expecting price to continue to range from the trend line to the support, unless we go and finally break out of the trend line or the support. If we break out the support, we do have nice room to move to the downside. As you can see, we've got the lows all the way down here, potential price could head to. So again, if we break out the support, we can see possible test of that area up there. And again, if we break out the trend line, we do have highs up there. So we do have targets to either side depending on which way we're breaking out, but so far we're just kind of just moving sideways for CAD JPY. So if we were to get CAD JPY to remain bearish and give us a move to go and test the lows down here, again we'll be looking for buys. For me, in the middle of nowhere, really kind of in the middle of that pattern, so we wouldn't want to be getting to the market right there. If we were to come and test the support area down here, that'll be a nice place to look to buy. Again, probably expecting another swing back to the upside, go test the trend line all the way up there. Up next is GBP USD. Okay, so for GBP USD on the daily time frame, you can see we're still kind of moving in this slow little uptrend that we're going on here. We do have a channel running through the market. We connect the lows and the highs of price. So again, our bias was to the downside for last week. For GBP USD, you can see we did have a push to the upside when it going to test that trend line. And again, like I said last week, we either had a possible double top happening. I can see previous resistance again, could see price sell off to the downside again, or we could have seen price remain bullish, go and test the trend line for a third test. I can see initial test there, second there, could be seeing a third test and price sell off, go and test the lows of the trend line. You see that's exactly what happened. We did see a nice push to the downside from that trend line for a third test, but we didn't see price continue that bearishness and go and test the trend line down here so far. We did see that bullish candle coming back into the market there on Friday. So again, in the lower time frames, we are starting to reverse and look bullish again. So could be seeing price maybe climb back up, test the trend line again, or maybe test the resistance again, then sell off. So our bias is still to downside for GBP USD for next week, as long as we stay in this channel, of course, and as long as we stay testing that trend line or that resistance. So if price does remain bullish, go break through the channel and resume back off it, again we can probably expect GBP USD to remain bullish and probably go and test the highs up here. As you can see, we wicked into that area up there. So again, price could be looking to get attracted to that resistance all the way up there. But for now, bias is to the downside. Again, we are at this upper channel here. Could be seeing a nice swing to the downside, go test the lows of this trend line. And if you see price break through that, again, we can go a lot further. We've got support all the way down here. Again, we do have the 200 average running through the market there as well. So we could be seeing the market get attracted to that area. So bias is still to the downside as long as we stay within this channel, and could be seeing a nice swing to go test the lower trend line. And last, we've got GBP CAD. Okay, so for GBP CAD on the daily chart, you can see we had a nice push to the downside to go and test this lows down here, this daily support, and from then on we're just seeing price moving quite correctly, quite messy, and seeing price slowly making its way to the upside. We do, however, have a bit of a channel going through the market here. I can see I've connected the lows of price and the highs of price here. So again, initial test there, second there, third, fourth, fifth. So it could be coming up for our sixth test of the channel and seeing price fall back over to the downside. So we were looking at this resistance area in the market here within the week. As you can see, we did have some nice resistance there. We saw price respect that resistance, originally fall off to the downside, but found the 200 moving average, and from then we saw Friday's kind of close above that resistance. So we are looking a little bit bullish and could be seeing a third test of this upper trend line and then seeing price sell off to the downside. So as long as price stays within this trend line, we are still looking for sells for GBP CAD. Again, we can still easily see price go break through this channel, resume off it and continue higher. Again, we do have resistance all the way up here. Price could be looking like it wants to target, or we do have resistance all the way up there. Price wants to go and test. So there is room to move to the upside, but bias is still to the downside for this one. Could easily see a third test of the upper trend line and price sell off, go and test the lows of that trend line. If that happens, we could be seeing a nice swing to the downside, then potentially price break out the channel and go and test the lows all the way down here. So we're going to be waiting for some bearish price action in the lower time frames at the 4H or the hourly and look to short the market at this trend line up there. But if you do remain bullish, you could easily see price break through it and continue higher, but bias it to the downside for GBP CAD for next week. Okay, so that's the end of the video. So I hope you all enjoyed it and found it useful. If you did, make sure you leave a like on the video and also comment down below which pairs you got your eyes on for next week. But like I said, it's the end of the video. I hope you all enjoyed it, and until the next one, I'll see you later.